This video is really focused on one product, but I am going to talk about a couple of other things, including Dior and Victoria Beckham. But really, what this comes down to is the new Byredo palette, which I already got fingerprints all over. That is the only thing I would say, like the negative of this is that it's highly reflective, this Byredo palette, and so you get fingerprints on it immediately. This is Mineralscapes. Now, there's already been a ton of videos with this, so I am not going to spend my time going through every single shade and talking about that. I am going to talk a little bit about the formulas in here. I'm going to show you two different eye looks. I'm going to compare it to other Byredo palettes that I have, and I'm going to show you swatches. But really, this is more a conversation about Byredo and what they have done with these large palettes in comparison to the clamshell, if you will, oyster palettes that they have, and the other palettes that we've been seeing lately in luxury. So let's talk about the palette. It is a limited edition 18 color palette inspired by the coloration and materiality of Byredo's native Sweden and the natural rural landscape that exerts its pull. Cool shades of northern spring colors, from serene nudes via glittering stones to rich and velvety deep blues, are cut through with a silvered shine, creating an instinctive and sensual narrative through balance, sophistication, and freshness. Goes on to describe how they view the palette. It's housed in a mirrored steel case designed by founder and creative director Ben Gorham with the mineral stones that reflect the shades of the palette. So a couple things to know that I think are more important than just, talking about showing the palette and saying it's pretty. It has a very vibrant payoff. I'm going to show you the swatches in a second. The texture is very lightweight and very long lasting. So some of them have an extremely creamy feel, but they're all lightweight texture. So when you put it on your eyes, it doesn't feel like there's a lot there, which may not matter to everybody, but some people who have more sensitive skin, more mature skin, older eyes, I think are really gonna like the texture of this. Again, very long lasting, it doesn't crease. Now, my skin is dry, so for oily skinned people, you might wanna, a primer works. I don't use primers when I test them, but if I was gonna wear this all day, I would put a primer on. The primer that I like is the Gerard Cosmetics. It's really the only one I use. It works extremely well, and you don't need a lot of it. So it comes in a very small, I've had that for a year. I've used up maybe 1/20th of it. So it's really good. They're very blendable and they're very buildable. Now I did a look with, and hopefully I'll remember to put the previous videos that I've done with these up, because I have eye looks that I've done with the other palettes. And you can see in those other palettes that I start with a particular look and then build on top of it and create something else. And the reason you can do that with these is because they are so buildable. This is exactly the same. There are a ton of different ingredients in here, depending on the shades. But I will say in them is overall, there are some that do have mica in them. Not all the shades, but most of the shades have talc in them. Those are the two things that came to me when I was looking at it. I was like, okay, that's something that I should mention. They don't say specifically what, or at least I haven't seen the specific description of the formulas, like what it's called. I would just say some are shimmery, some are satiny, some are mattes. If I can figure out where to find the description of each shade or how it's described, I will let you know. But I don't see it on the Byredo site. And that's generally where you go to the brand site to see how they've described each shade. It is sold out at Byredo right now. It was also on Selfridges, I think, and maybe some other places. So I'll continue to look, but I would say, again, with Byredo, when they do these large palettes, they generally are limited editions. Sometimes you see them pop back up for a little while, but they're not around for long. They're this is $115 for 18 shades, which in a luxury brand is actually extremely good. because as we know, the Tom Fords are basically that, the Hermes and the Clé de Pose, and they're 4 shades. Made in Italy, and it has a 12-month shelf life. So what I'm going to do today first is I'm going to show you the other palettes. I'm going to talk about this one. I'm going to do eye looks, but when I do the eye look, I'm not going to go into a tutorial or anything like that. I'll keep it relatively brief, but I want to let you know really the things that I would say are most important about this palette in comparison to other luxury eyeshadows that you've been seeing. Tom Ford, Chanel, Dior, Chantecaille, Valentino, Armani, Hermes, Prada. Every shade in here works with the other shades in here. It is extremely well curated. The shades work beautifully together, and they all have a purpose in the palette. It's really well done. That's the first thing I noticed when I looked at it. I like it more than any Byredo palette that's come before. And I think part of it is the shades. I like light blues and greens and that kind of thing. That's just I like the color story, frankly. I think they're well done. I like the coolness of it. But there's warmer shades in here to balance, okay? So it's not like it's all gray and blue. There's warm shades in here to keep balanced. And the minerals on the top of it that are, like I said, sorry about all the fingerprints. I've tried to keep wiping it and then I touch it again and it gets ruined. Represents the colors that are within. So you can see the blue, the gray, the whitish, the tan. It's really nicely done. So the shades in here are Grounding Sky. Hold on, I'll show it to you like this. So we're gonna go this way and this way. Grounding Sky, Painting Land, Sandstone, Rock Bed, Mineral, and Steel Light. Then Sunbeam, Solar Spark, Pink Flame, Sun Dried, Low Tide, Steel Ray, and then the bottom, Lunar Rhythm, River Mist, Matter and Life, Blue Dream, High Tide, and Translucent Matter. And then here are all the shades swatched. And I think you'll notice when you look at the shades that, like I said, yes, it's very cool leaning palette, but there are warmer shades in here, like the yellows. It's not really yellow, it's like a golden, a little bit of it's like a burnt, it's not quite a burnt umber, but it's got that warm tan shade. You've got a peachy shade, so you've got things to balance. And then the second shade in, which is that greenish shade, that one, there are like 2 shades that have like a green shade. The first, like the second and the third shades, they are really beautiful greens too, which I did not expect to see in the palette. There is pretty much every color, every shade that I like in an eyeshadow palette in this eyeshadow palette. The only thing that's missing, I would say, would be a cream. There is no cream. There are these 2 light shades, this one and this one. And those, you can see those in the middle of the palette. This one is lighter. This one has almost more of a little bit of platinum, and this one has more yellow to it. But there isn't like a white or a cream in there. However, most of us have that in something. So let's take a look. This is the Flora Kalahari palette, again, smudged to smithereens, but I use it a lot, so that's why it's smudged. This palette has this white shade that I absolutely like. This isn't like my favorite, like sparkly white. It's great. It's got like a opalescent. It's just stunning. And of course the blue, but this one I think was more, I don't want to say chaotic, but there are shades in here that I really are quite beautiful, but they're not ones that I use very often, like this shade and this shade. I just don't, they're gorgeous on the eye, don't get me wrong, like they're stunning, and I'll again link videos to these, but it wasn't like my color story. And then this one, which is Remembrance palette, is more of a neutral, it's not really neutral, but it's more a neutral palette, has some silver shades in here that are just ridiculous. Seriously, they are amazing on the eye. I have a video with this one as well. You can see I use this shade a lot. It's smudged out of proportion, but anyway, beautiful, but more subdued. And use these all the time. They are, in my opinion, the best larger palettes that have existed since Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona. Natasha Denona, her 28 pans, the green brown and the blue purple, I still have them and I will never get rid of them. Even if they go bad, I will keep them because they were just revolutionary. And Pat McGrath motherships were like that, with the colors and the formulas, just outstanding. That's what these are. Of their time, right? They are the Pat McGrath mothership or the Natasha Denona 28 pan. That's what these are, in my opinion. There is nothing to touch the formulas in these at the price point that these are, hands down. So if you find one with a color story that you like, I wouldn't wait on it. If you see this pop back up and this is a color story that you like and the price point, you can afford the price point. It's $115, which, don't get me wrong, I know, but we're talking luxury, is extremely good for the amount of product that you're getting compared to a Tom Ford, Dior, Hermes, Clé de Peau, whatever. Now, the question that comes next is, and I'm going to start doing an eye look so you can see how these work, compared to a Clé de Peau, which is meant for a more mature eye, is it as good? And it is. There's no doubt that these are as good. The question is, will they fit your lifestyle as much? The Remembrance palette is a very neutral palette, so I think, you know, a lot of people will find it more everyday. This one you might not find as much every day, only because there are a lot of people who are like, I never wear blue, I never wear green, I wear browns and tans, which is fine, or pinks, whatever the case is. So if that's not your color story, then in that way, yeah, the Clé de Peau, there's, I don't know, I forget how many quads there are, but there's 15 of them, and most of them are neutrals, pinks, tans, browns, and they're all beautiful. They're all gorgeous. I would strongly recommend any of the new Clé de Peaus, and they're at the same price, basically. So I would just say, in that regard, the Clé de Peaus are more probably for if you're looking for an everyday, simple 4-pan quad. Yeah, okay. But if you're looking for something that also works really well on a more mature eye, doesn't accentuate texture, does not have a primer shade, because the Clé de Peaus have a primer shade, this is what I would pick up. Absolutely. I'm going to take this shade here. This is more of a matte. The mattes in here, not only are they incredibly pigmented, but they're super smooth. There's no patchiness. They're incredibly pigmented. They go on like they are made of, it's just, there's no, for me, because I've been reviewing so much makeup over the last 3 years, there's a discernible difference between the Dior's that I just tried, the summer Dior's, which are good. They're nice. Coral Flame and Pastel Glow. They're actually very pretty. But the formula in there is not as good as the old formula, and I basically said I just don't like it as much. But it's not a bad formula. It's good. But this is so well done. It's so perfect that in comparison, the other looks like, why bother? That's what I'm saying. This is so well done that I'm just very impressed. Let's take this one here. So the other question about long wearing, is it more long wearing than others? So it's more long wearing than the Dior for certain. It's the Tom Ford actually lasts a very long time. Like, I know I pick on Tom Ford sometimes, but I will say the formula usually lasts very well. Like even the Soleil, the new one, the creme formulas, they do last. I think they are very long lasting. They are heavier than these though. These are lighter in formula. These remind me more of the Hermes formula. You know how the Hermes quads have that beautiful silky matte and then a really shimmery shade in there that was just really impressive? That's what this is. I'd say it's a little bit better than Hermes, but you get 18 shades instead of 4. It's clear, to me anyway. It's like a clear, obvious winner there. But yeah, I do think the Hermes, the new ones that have come out, are extremely good. And I've said that. The Prada ones are different. They're just a different formula altogether, because you have a matte, a soft matte, a shimmer. Again, beautiful, but to me, it's a different kind of creation. The Clé de Peau, the different factor in the Clé de Peaus is that they've got that primer shade. I will have the new Clé de Peau single eyeshadows, so I'll let you know how those are when those come out. I'll have those relatively soon. All right, so let's take, now this is like my favorite shade here, this hydrangea blue shade. So I'm gonna do that, but I wanna do some other things so you can see the differences in this palette. These shades, these blues, not only are they incredibly pigmented, you saw the swatches, I cannot get them off my arm because they stain. Now, you'll argue, yes, that's a pain on your arm. It is, but it's great if you're putting it on your eye. So I'm gonna take this green shade here and then I'll put this one over it. So yeah, I think the longevity's there. They're really good on lines and you don't have to worry about it sinking in. The pigment is ridiculous, so no problems there. Fallout. There is fallout with some of the shades, like this one, this green. If you can see really close, you have some fallout here. It's not excessive fallout, and honestly, it can be, you can negate that by just touching off your brush. It's not excessive. But the pigment in here is, besides the Hermes, I really can't think of anything that's this pigmented, this easy, because it just flows on like silk, which is why it reminds me of the Natasha Denona and Pat McGrath of old. Like, it literally was like, wow. And they've all been like this, but this one, to me, this one is the pinnacle of that. That's how I see it. Anyway, so we'll take this lighter green here. So we've got longevity, we've got cost. I'd say there's no scent to be worried about in here. The palette itself lasts, as I said, it has a 12-month shelf life. There's no kick up or anything when you use the shades from the palette. And I would say the thing that might be an issue for some people is the talc that's in some of the shades. That's something to be aware of. If that's something you don't want, then that's a concern. And then the only other thing I would think of is the limited edition nature of the palettes. They are a little harder to get. So when they pop up, you have to jump on them or they may be gone. All right, so we're gonna take this it's a deep blue, like it's very deep. And we're gonna take a very small brush, which I now can't find. And we're gonna use, this is a Wayne Gross brush. This brush is meant to push in between your lashes, which is what I'm gonna do with it here at the bottom, because this is an incredibly intensive shade. And I'm just like drawing a very tight line with it. Like I said, it's a lot, but it's very pretty. You need very little. You need very little. So let's talk a little bit about why this palette is like it is, and I'm just using the same shade on the top, and why the others aren't. Because the thing that I find interesting is that I have tried most of the clamshells, and they are not this formula. There are some that are really good. There's some that I really like. But to be honest, most of them I think are okay. I wouldn't say they're the best. I wouldn't say they're the worst. I think they're fine. So I think in a certain respect that these are similar to what Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona did, which is they had the different formulas. They were testing different things out. And you had the mothership, you had the 10-pan perfect palette, and Natasha Denona had the 28-pan. And I think that's where the money went, in the ingredients, in the creation, in the curation. And it took a long time for those to be created. And then they would come out not very often. And then the other stuff that would come out was more of a, I'm looking for the right word, not a bad product, a good product and well received, but something that maybe would be not as expensive to make and it would be colors that you've seen before, like that kind of thing. And I think it's because the money would be spent, or the time would be spent on creating these perfect things and less time on getting a lot of product out. If you've noticed with Byredo, there's not a ton of product out. They are a perfume house. I actually love their perfumes. There's several perfumes that are my favorites. And they have other makeup products, and I've used their other makeup products. The palette though, these palettes are just, again, this is my opinion only, but something really special and worth picking up. All right, so we're gonna take this bluish shade. I'm gonna put this all over the eye, but I'm gonna do it with a very soft brush. super soft. And this is like a candle brush. And so basically what you do is you get a very diffused look with it, but still you can see how much pigment just gets picked up. And one of the reasons I'm doing it this way is I want you to see just how pigmented these are, because again, this is like a super, I'm barely touching it into the pan and just going back and forth lightly with this, and you still get a beautiful look. And I would say for those of you who like worry about what brush to use, or you feel like you don't get the payoff from maybe using a less expensive brush, it doesn't matter what brush you use, this is gonna be amazing. Now we're gonna take this like peachy shade. I'm just gonna use my finger, just a little tiny bit, not gonna use a lot. Just to give it a little bit of dimension. And then I'm gonna take this shade here. We're gonna pop that in the inner corner. Got a little bit of a silver. And then we're gonna take this shade and I'm gonna put that on the outer corner. Two very different looks, obviously, because I'm trying to show you that although, yes, this is a pigmented, more colorful, sure, than tans and browns and everything, it is stunningly beautiful. And I promise you that if you pick this up, you're gonna like it if you like cool shades. If you really only wear warm shades, then yeah, it's probably not gonna be for you. All right, so those are the shades there. Now I'm gonna take a deeper shade and deepen it up, but I just wanted you to see like how it looks like, you know, like a wash of blue-gray, which is now my favorite shade. So absolutely love that. So I'm gonna take the same tiny brush. We're gonna use this super deep blue, which is the one that has stained my arm probably forever. Probably never getting that off. And we're just gonna line here just lightly. You can see how pigmented it is. So this tiny little brush. You just need the smallest amount of like all of these shades are so pigmented that you don't need much. I mean, what else can I say? Then the other thing I would say about the difference between this and the other palettes that you're seeing, and I've alluded to this already by saying Pat McGrath in its time, Natasha Denona in its time, we have moved, especially recently, maybe since COVID, to this get out a lot of product. It's repetitive, it's iterative. Basically, you see one pink palette and then there's 17 more pink palettes by the same brand. And it's not that you didn't like the pink, but it's okay, yes, do something different. That's because it sells. And I've talked about this a bunch of times. It's basically about moving just more product. And there's not a lot of time spent on the creative process and creating something that's really unique and different, which Tom Ford used to do, which Charlotte Tilbury used to do, Pat McGrath, all the brands. It's not just one. Byredo, though, has done something different. They have gone another way, which personally I like. They don't have as many products. When they do come out with products, they are at least unique. They don't always work. Like some of the clamshells aren't my favorite, and they don't work in the way that I would want them to, but they're different. They're creative. They're special. They're a different type of thing. And then when they do these, the ones I have, now there is one other one which I do not have, and I'm actually going to see if I can try to find it. They are exceptional. They don't come out very often. They don't have as many products. Now maybe they can do that. Maybe their strategy is to make their money on the perfume side of things and hand lotions and all of those. Byredo has a ton of other stuff, which I love. So maybe that's why. Maybe the other brands aren't doing that as much. Although I would argue Tom Ford has tons of perfumes. Other brands do as well. So I'm not sure. It could be because of where they are located and where they come from, and they have a different idea of how things should be created. But I have to say, I am so impressed with how Byredo has gone about this that it makes me want to buy other Byredo products just because I feel an affinity for how much respect they give to their customers by creating these things. This palette, as you've probably already gathered, is an absolute favorite, and I would encourage anyone to go out and buy it. It's good for any age range, any skin type, anybody. The only thing I would say is, like I said, it does have talc in it, and it's a very cool tone palette. If you hate cool tones, you probably won't like it. There are some warm shades in there, as the swatches will show, but most of them are not. Two other things I want to do today, really quickly. On my face, I have the Dior, I forgot the name of it, the Dior Forever Glow Star Filter. I'll have a video go up of it on my face. And this is in shade 1. I will tell you, I actually like this. It does remind me very much of the Charlotte Tilbury Miracle whatever that she came out with forever ago, and she was absolutely a trailblazer in creating that product. But that's what it does remind me of. It's very nice. Dior has done a fantastic job, continuously has done a fantastic job with their packaging, because here's the box they sent me, which is beautiful. So with their packaging and with their face products, like their maximizer highlighters, they have like 6 different shades, nude, pearly, pink, they're all phenomenally good. Their foundation I have on today, this is 1N, this is their Glow Forever foundation, extremely good. I love all their face products. Their Dior Addict lipsticks, I have 3 new cases. The pink Dior on the white background, let the camera adjust to that, which is very cute. It reminds me like of the Barbie movie, but it is still extremely cute. I have the silver Canage, which is, you know, just gorgeous. And then I have the rubber pink, I think it was called Rose Mania or something like that, which is also great. I have 3 shades of the lipstick, including the one I have on today, which is Lilac. And what I would say is that the Lilac looks pink on me. It's very pretty. I think it would look really good with a deeper liner. But if you think if you have a similar issue with things going pink on you, the Lilac is going to probably go pink on you. It's not bad. I will change it up by the time we come back after I put some mascara on. But it's not really a lilac on me. On me, it's pink. Almost like a bright pink. Again, like a baby pink. It's pretty. It's not bad, but just so you know, I think that's something just to be aware of. The other shades, I have put swatches of all 3 up on Instagram. I will have a video with those and other things coming up, but I don't want to distract from the Byredo today, which is why I don't have any blush or bronzer on as I was doing this. When I finish my look, I will. I also do want to mention, though, the Victoria Beckham pencil. This is in Seafoam, and this is one of the new shade that she came out with in her liners. And like when I'm talking about Byredo, she has a tendency in her line to come out with products infrequently, but I do think similarly, they're of great quality. They don't all work for me, and there's some products that I've liked more than others, but I do think time and attention is spent on giving customers what they want in terms of quality of the product. So I greatly appreciate that. The other one that I picked up were the eye pencils, which I love. This is the blue, the Cornflower blue, and it's a great color. And I want to use them today with the eye looks because I think they're both cool enough that they'll work just fine. That's why I have a green look and a blue look, so I can use these with them so you can just see how they work. But like they'll overpower the look at all. They'll just add, you can already see the Byredo did a fantastic job by itself, but show you in addition how these work. And I would honestly say that I think with using this much makeup, it does start to be very clear which brands are prioritizing quality. I just put on a little bit of this Cornflower blue. Guys, this is a beautiful shade. I love these, by the way, and along the lines of saying the Byredo eyeshadows, these eyeshadows are like the best of their sphere. Her liners and her pencils are, and I really want to buy the remaining colors that I don't have because they're that good. This is the Seafoam. It's They're beautiful. Absolutely stunning. All right, so let me put on a little bronzer, a little blush, and mascara, and we'll come right back. So we're back, and as you can see, I have bronzer and blush, and I have a liner on the lipstick. I use the Victoria Beckham No. 4 liner. Like I said, Victoria Beckham has great products. The only thing that I've ever said that I don't love is that they come out in like drips and drabs, like you get one eyeliner, like the Seafoam. One. But since it's done so well and I always love everything, I'm happy to deal with that one thing. And honestly, it's not because it's, again, like with the Byredo palettes, there's only one. There's one palette that comes out. But I feel bad ordering one little liner and having it shipped. I'm like, okay, there's cost and time and expense that goes into shipping something. So I'm just like, I feel like I wish there was more so I could have it shipped all at once. But other than that, everything that she's done, and I love her. This is her mascara. Love the liners. So yeah, overall, I have nothing bad to say about the Byredo palette. In fact, I could not be more effusive in my love for this palette. It is my favorite of the ones that they've come out with. Yes, it's because of the color story. The formulas are stunning. They are perfect. The formula is perfect. The mattes are creamy and spread right on. The shimmers are beautiful. The satins are satin. There's nothing wrong with this palette. Nothing. In my opinion, it's perfect. Now, again, it is a cool tone palette and it has talc in it. Those are the two things that I think people will be of interested in. It's $115 for 18 shades. And it is limited edition. Currently sold out on the Byredo site. I don't know if it's in stores. It could be in Byredo stores. We have one in Boston, so it's possible that it's there. I'm pretty sure it was Selfridges that had it. I'm not sure if Harrods has it. So I'll do some checking around. I'll put links below where I can find it if it is available anywhere online at the moment. But long wearing, lightweight, very pigmented, easy to blend, buildable, doesn't crease. All good. I will have more with the Dior. There's a blush. There is a lip oil. There is a Dior Addict Lip Glow. And then there's a Dior Maximizer for each shade. Bronze Glow, Lilac, Pink Lilac, Dior Lilac or Pink Lilac? Could be Pink Lilac. And then the Coral. So for each one of those, there are 4 products that are new. And I don't have any of those yet. So once they are available or once I can figure out how to get them, I will order them so you can see them and I'll go over the lipsticks again. I've already done the eyeshadows, the quints that they have in the summer collection. But honestly, I don't think I'm gonna find anything that I like more than, for eyeshadow, that's pretty spectacular. So thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you in another video really soon. Bye.